today after the spring game?
Well, a lot, because spring game is kind of a different deal. It's very watered down because you're splitting guys up into teams. There's a bunch of guys not playing because of the live tackling, so you're protecting guys. So today was probably much more in depth than the spring game was, of us getting really a look at things on film and things that we really want to get done.
What kind of instructions do you give the players now going into getting ready for finals, going into summer?
Well, a couple different ones. One is start with finals. It's huge. We got to finish strong in the classroom. We got a couple weeks left of school. There's a little bit more time, but what I've always noticed with experience is more time leads to less studying sometimes. When you get into that routine and you're very, very structured and organized, then all of a sudden there's free time. Free time expands instead of, hey, let's keep the same schedule and just add 2 hours of studying. It becomes, let's add 4 hours of off time. So we got to finish up strong in the classroom is a huge part. And then, the next biggest one is where we pick up. You got what, about 15 weeks until we practice again? Does that sound about right? I didn't count the actual weeks. It was about 15 weeks until we practice. That's a long time going into a season. Imagine you're a golfer, or you're a tennis player, or you're a basketball player, you're a baseball player. Hey, we take 15 weeks off before we start the season. That's probably not a good thing, working skill sets. So they have got to go work on both, on technique, on fundamentals, on their scheme and study and film. And they got to be better players when we come back than we were today. If we have taken any step backwards, it'll be a long season.
USB enlisted Mullen out with a knee, and then we saw him brace in pro day. Any update that you could provide on that?
Yeah, he tore his ACL early in spring. He's had the surgery, so it'll be it'll be a while before we know where he's at and whether or not he'd be available next season or not. I think it's going to be probably well into August before we have an idea whether or not he'd be able to play next year.
Looking back at the arrival of Todd Grantham, how do you think your defensive unit handled that and progressed under him?
I like what I've seen, out of the defensive guys. I've seen steady improvement, a little bit more confidence in what they're doing, consistency of play, and I think that's important. But I do think it is huge, because they just kind of learned it all, and I think there's a little bit of confidence leaving spring ball. It's those guys now have got to mentally work this summer to play at that same level. Because if we come back and it's kind of like, all right, just because I haven't done it a lot, it's first time going through some stuff. We have to go way back to start over. Then that'll set us back. But if we can kind of pick up where we left off, I think we'll have a chance to be pretty good on defense.
There were a number of other guys that didn't play in that spring game. Is anybody else banged up or anybody else?
No, Malik's the only major injury coming out of spring. For us, there's a lot of guys just banged up right now, not practicing, but nothing that should really, and talking to our trainers, there's really not much that should linger past them coming back, us getting the summer training in June, with getting a bunch of other guys back, Elton, and coming back, Dion. They should be good to go. Who else am I missing? Lando should be good to go come June, coming back. Yep.
Smitherman.
Yeah, he's fine. He should be good to go coming back in June. There are a bunch of guys just with banged up that weren't cleared for that day. And it's, if we practice next week, there'll probably be. Well, the spring game was this coming week. There'll probably be 4 or 5 guys that might be able to play. That didn't play. But heck, there might be 4 out of 5 other guys that wouldn't be able to play this week. Did play, so that's just how it is. Just trying to keep everybody healthy.
With those guys out on the offensive line, what did you kind of learn? Is there a point where you go into training camp where you start moving things back, or ranking playing center?
I'm going to tell you, it was really good with that. You got some guys, some reps. Like you had Elton, a bunch of center reps going into training camp now. But now, all of a sudden with Harrison now, hopefully it's created depth for us and competition. Because now coming out of spring, guys are like, hey, I was at 1. Well, there's 2 returning starters coming back, so you can take a back seat now. And if you want to be at 1, right? It went from 4 starting spots down to 2 starting spots, so, and then now the trickle-down effect of who are our top 8 linemen, right? So the top 8 leaving spring, right? I mean, you look at a Martinez coming back, there's really 7 spots to get into the top 8 going into spring ball. There's 5 spots to get into the top 8 going into fall ball. So, I mean, it's hopefully it created the depth for us, and it'll create the competition moving forward.
What do you think chances are of Martinez starting at center for you this fall?
That's going to be really interesting. 50-50? I thought he did a good job, which,
Doesn't matter like how you feel about the other guys. Is that where you're kind of factoring?
I mean, there's really him and Elton, maybe Dion. I mean, a little bit. I thought he did a decent job. Now I want to see how the other guys do. I mean, I think the other great thing is that now it's led to a lot of different flexibility. There's, you look at Elton Jenkins and you look at now with Martinez being on play tackle center. It might not be them that makes that decision. It's who's our 4th best lineman, and if our 4th best lineman's going to play left tackle, then is it Elton at left guard and Martinez at center and Dion at right guard? If the top those 2 spots that come open are tackles, those guys all might play interior. If it's guards, those guys might play on the edge, and so I think that it has allowed us some flexibility.
JT having a full spring at safety now with some of the newcomers and young pieces at that position. What does he offer to you there?
Well, a bunch, because he's really athletic, and he can play down at the nickel. He can come off the edge and blitz, and and then he gives you the flexibility to go back and play safety as well. So, I love guys, those guys that can play multiple positions, because those are the guys that create problems for the other side of the ball. Because is he a receiver, a tight end, or kind of a running back? Is he a running back or a slot? Those type of guys. Is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? Boy, he can do safety things, but he can do linebacker things too, and it can mess with your counts and how you're IDing fronts. So, I think that flexibility is certainly going to help us and allow him the opportunity to become a great playmaker for us.
So do you envision a Troy Polamalu kind of effect where teams have to find out and ID where he is on every snap?
Well, I don't know about that. I didn't study Troy, but, if he plays that way, I'll be certainly excited right there. I knew this. He was a playmaker. But I don't know. I think it just what it does is, though, is it brings flexibility in defense, and and gives us allows you to have fun sometimes. You can scheme up some things that mess with the offense because a guy can do multiple things, and it can really mess with an offense.
What did not having Deere allow you to learn about the wide receivers?
The young guys better improve quickly, because it just, the trickle down with the depth. I thought Keith Mixon had an excellent spring. I thought Dedrick Thomas had an excellent spring in stepping up into those positions, that role, but those 2 guys did a great job, and so they're ready at that spot. But the trickle down effect of having the potentially move Dedrick inside hurts you on the outside, and we have some young guys that have great potential. The problem is that potential needs to come to fruition in 5 months, 4 months, right? It's 4 months till we kick it off, and that has got to get accelerated, and they have got to become playmakers in a hurry.